What up, everyone? Big Kev back in the building. Today we have another one from the Salmonella Academy. This one's called Banned and Controversial Foods. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Let's check it out. I have a feeling this one's going to be a little gnarly, but I'm here for it. So, yeah, let's check it out.
Hey Majors, so I'd like to start off with a little biology lesson. When a species finds itself living on an island, it can start to evolve in strange ways based on the different pressures applied by the new environment. This is called island syndrome, and while it can manifest in a lot of ways, the biggest driving force is often a lack of predators. For example, the dodo lost its ability to fly since there was nothing to flee from. The St. Kilda field mouse got twice as big since it no longer had to hide. And with no one around to bully them, the Sardinians started putting maggots in their cheese.
He's leading you one direction and then just gives you a nice little switch up right there. Yeah, I mean, evolution, obviously, if you're going to adapt to your surroundings, imperceptibly over time, of course, it's going to take forever, but I've never heard of it referred to as maggot cheese before. I mean, I know the concept of aging cheese, but I'll be curious to understand why you'd want to possibly put maggots in your cheese.
Casu marzu, literal translation, rotten cheese. It's made by taking a perfectly good wheel of pecorino and letting a special type of fly lay eggs in it. The fly babies then work to partially digest the cheese, rendering it goopy and wet and maybe quite tasty and worm-filled. Now, cheese as a concept is
Dude, cheese is just good enough on its own. I don't need to be adding maggots to it to make it a little bit better. I mean, how much better is this cheese that's been processed by maggots compared to regular, in this case, pecorino cheese? I mean, is it that much better? I'm not going to be the one to find out.
already quite suspect. It's clotted milk that you fill with bacteria and mold and let sit for a while. But cheese is safe and delicious. Cheese is my friend. I trust cheese. So my guard would be down around Casu marzu. I've learned to look past a cheese's childhood.
Cheese gun.
Strange upbringings are what give them their character. But it turns out, those maggots are still alive. And if you don't chew well enough, they can cause enteric myiasis, which is a fancy term for fly larvae living in your...
Cool, so now you'll have maggots alive swimming around in your system if you don't chew well enough. Sounds like a little bonus treat.
Your intestines. Symptoms are similar to food poisoning, except with the added psychic pain of knowing that, again, your bowels are full of squiggly new friends. It's for this reason that Casu marzu is banned in the EU and elsewhere. A black market
Okay, at least countries are smart enough to ban it.
Still exists, which is wild, and it's not a small one. In 2019, the illicit Casu marzu trade was estimated to be worth 2 to 3 million euros annually. Personally, I would just do it prohibition.
That's wild. That's wild that there's enough people that still want it per year that are willing to spend money on it, and like not only spend money on it but have to like illegally like track it down to get their hands on it.
Style, like definitely don't put these fly eggs on this sumptuous wheel of pecorino. But if you do, you absolutely shouldn't keep it warm and damp for a week. But although it's traditional to leave the larvae alive when you eat your mag and cheese, some consumers still prefer them dead, shockingly. In that case, one puts the cheese in a sealed bag, and when the maggots run out of oxygen, they writhe around and fling themselves up.
So basically, if you want dead maggots, you gotta suffocate your cheese? That's a fun concept I've never considered before. Eating my cheese
all over the place. This is heard as a distinct pitter-patter against the walls of the bag, and when the sound stops, the contents are ready to eat, like popcorn. Shark fin soup is one most of us have heard about already.
I've heard of shark fin soup before. It's not something I would ever want to try, but I've definitely heard of shark fin soup.
Mostly in reference to its effect on shark populations and the wastefulness that goes into making it. Until recently, though, I never looked into the nature of the dish itself. I figured, right, the fins are just the only part of the shark worth eating. Big whoop, it's probably not much different from, like, swordfish. Apparently, though, I had it backwards. Shark fins aren't even meat. They're made almost entirely of cartilage and collagen. They are the last part we should be eating. That's why it's only made into soup, because without being soaked in broth, it has zero flavor or nutritional value on its own.
Yeah, why the hell did people start deciding to eat that in the first place?
Their only redeeming quality is their unique mouthfeel due to how stringily the collagen grows, in structures called ceratotrichia. The texture has been described as somewhere between chewy and crunchy, which I find describes most things, actually. Other adjectives
Yeah, right. It's either chewy or it's crunchy or it's soup.
present on Wikipedia include snappy, gelatinous, and sinewy. The exact
I don't like two of those. Gelatinous and sinewy are not things I want when I'm eating foods. I mean, unless it's Jello.
sensation of eating this substance remains a mystery to me, and the unintended side effect of all this research is that I now really want to try it. Like, it's a big trade. I've got to be the one that's wrong. There is imitation shark fin soup available, but I've already decided that it's not nearly as good. So
Like Impossible shark fin soup. Is that what we come to?
I've come up with a compromise to this controversy. Everyone on Earth gets just one bite. Say there's 10 bites to a fin, 4 fins to a shark, 200 million sharks die, sure, a necessary casualty, but then we can end the practice forever. All done. You can finally rest, Mr. Ming. Come here, baby. Aww. Akee. What? Akee. Where? Akee. The Akee is a fruit originally from West Africa,
I've never heard of this one.
which is most commonly associated with Jamaican cuisine, where it appears in such dishes as ackee and saltfish. These alien kidneys here are called the arils, and they're the only part of the fruit that's actually eaten. Their flavor is on the savory side, being described as kinda nutty or bean-like.
Yeah, I don't like savory fruits. That's not a combination I want.
What makes the ackee controversial, though, is the effects it can cause when prepared improperly. If the arils are allowed to completely ripen, they're harmless, but if you eat them too early, or don't thoroughly clean off all the non-aril stuff, they can cause Jamaican vomiting sickness.
Cool, Jamaican vomiting sickness. Learn something new every day. If I ever go to Jamaica, I'm going to definitely avoid Akee.
This disease doesn't sound real. It sounds like it belongs next to Eastern sweats and Tangerian bone grindings, but that's actually
Those are both other things that I've never heard of and probably don't want to hear about.
an official term, and as for symptoms, it does what it says on the tin. Plus maybe death. While Akee-based products aren't outright illegal in the United States, they are very tightly regulated, and the raw fruit itself cannot be imported. So if you're American and want to try it, your options are fully cooked canned Akee or going to Florida where a few people grow it domestically. Next we have bird's nest soup. This is another one that I've vaguely heard of, and for years I just assumed the name was a playful metaphor like ants on a log or shit on a shingle. Turns out, nope, this dish contains an actual bird nest. Not like a pile of twigs like I was picturing, but rather a specific type of nest only made by certain species of swiftlets. These nests are mostly made out of mucins, which are a set of proteins that, among other things, serve to thicken all those wonderful secretions our bodies make.
This sounds gnarly. I never heard of this, and I do not want any part of it.
A little bit in human saliva, a little bit more in mucus, and in swiftlet saliva, look out, pal. So all the swiftlet does is it finds a nice wall, starts laying out fat strings of slobber, which dry, and eventually she's got a nice place to roost. That is, right up until some gourmand says,
Today I crave bird spit. You can keep the eggs though.
And they then reconstitute it back into its original gelatinous texture. Unfortunately, these nests can't enter the US since, believe it or not, eating bird saliva is a great way to catch bird flu. And now
No shit.
the time has come to speak of the ortolan. The ortolan is a kind of bunting, which is a sort of passerine, which is a type of bird. They're birds. Like many animals, they have a long history of being eaten by the French. But what separates the ortolan from your average squab or pheasant is the unique way in which it is prepared and eaten. They're typically caught with nets and kept in the dark, which causes them to overeat for some reason. Once it's about twice as fat, the entire bird is then thrown into a container of brandy, alive, and sealed in.
What?
While this serves to marinate.
So they take this poor bird, keep it in the dark, overfeed it, then drown it in a vat of brandy? Who comes up with this recipe in the first place? How is this discovered and then shared? Who has the balls to share this recipe with other people and not expect to be shunned? That's an insane set of things to make something. I don't know how you'd ever think to make it in the first place.
Killing one bird with no stones. The ortolan is then roasted, plucked, and presented whole to the consumer, who inserts the carcass into their mouth, feet first. As they chew, one hand continues holding the bird's.
So they roast the whole bird and then serve the whole bird, feet and head included, which you eat starting at the feet. This just keeps getting worse and worse.
Head, while the other picks out the larger bones. This whole ritual is usually performed with a towel or large napkin over one's head. There's a few explanations for.
Oh yeah, I feel like you feel like you're just being pranked. Really? This is so shameful that you have to have a towel over your head when you're eating it? Is there Is there some, I'm curious to see if there's some other good reason to have a towel over your head while eating food. I've never heard of having to eat your food with a towel over your head before. That's pretty wild.
The purpose of the towel. Some say it's just there to keep the aromas in, while others say it's there to, quote, shield from God's eyes the
Yeah.
shame of such a decadent and disgraceful
I'm going with B. Yeah, that feels like the right answer.
act. Yeah, this one I'm okay with not trying, actually.
Yeah,
Notable fans of this
me
dish
too.
include, not joking, Bill Cosby and the guy who invented the lobotomy.
Yeah, I mean, evil people like evil things.
To be part of that social club. Our mission is to eat birds whole and then make people not remember things. Killing ortolans was banned across the EU in 2007, not for any ethical reason, but because French people did this so much that the entire ortolan population was threatened.
So it's not only did they do this, but it's apparently like very popular, at least in France.
Thankfully, as of 2018, their conservation status is under least concern, so hopefully the French can get back to it soon. Anyway, that's all I have for today. Till next time, I'm Salmonella, and thank you for watching.
Yeah, I guess I guess now I know why I was never like a huge fan of French food to begin with, but that was a crazy list of foods that should definitely be banned and people should not be eating. I mean, maggot cheese that can kill you if the maggots are still alive. You know, a dish basically consisting of bird spit. Then another dish that you literally trap a bird, overfeed it, then drown it alive in brandy, then eat it whole with a towel over your head. I mean, the Akee sounded pretty mild. I mean, Jamaican vomiting sickness sounded like one of the least offensive. You think that'd be the worst, but nope. You know, only a few hours, maybe death, but way better than some of these other options. Yeah, that was definitely eye-opening. Let me know what you thought of these in the comments below. Have any of you ever tried any of these? Are they that good that you had to have them? Until next time, have a good one.